what's up, everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And the court battle between Microsoft and the FTC is now underway. They are battling it out as we currently speak, and there's going to be a lot that comes from this here in the next couple of days. Really just kind of prepare for it. The FTC, they're going to try to make Microsoft look as bad as they possibly can, and Microsoft, they're going to have to try to stand their ground as much as possible. If something real interesting does come our way, of course, I'll talk about it on the channel, but one of the things that emerged today just kind of had me rolling my eyes because, I mean, we've been talking about this for well over a year, and that's Sony's involvement with this acquisition. They've really tried to halt this buyout as much as they possibly can. Quote-unquote, Jim Ryan, he doesn't want a deal. He just wants to block the buyout. That is something that he reportedly told Activision before. And now, reportedly, an email kind of ousted him as being disingenuous throughout this entire ordeal. Yeah, I know, real shocking, right? But we will get into that today, as well as Xbox raising prices for their console and subscriptions. This follows Sony's lead from last year, but the timing here is quite interesting, and yeah, I want to kind of talk about that one as well. As always, though, we do have a lot to get into today, so let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with Final Fantasy 16. It is now officially out. Let's go. But if you were waiting for reviews or anything like that, they are out now, and the reception pretty much meets all the fan hype that we've seen over the last week or so online. Critics, too, are absolutely praising Final Fantasy 16 as it has an 88 overall score on Metacritic across 108 reviews. This immediately puts it in line as one of the best rated games for 2023, and that's saying a lot because I think a lot of you probably already understand this, but it's been a very good year for games. I mean, we're talking about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, you have Hi-Fi Rush, Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4, and I'm not even including remakes here. So it has been an absolutely fantastic year, and Final Fantasy 16, it only adds to that. If anything, it's going to be really interesting to see all the Game of the Year candidates when they eventually get announced. And really even crazier here is that this is only the first half of 2023. We still have a long way to go, but I'll say this much. I am definitely super excited to play Final Fantasy 16 myself. I've kind of gone on a bit of a media lockdown for this game over the last week, but I did pick myself a copy up this morning, and I'm ready to jump in. Also, technically, I guess we're not quite done with all those showcases just yet. We still have a couple left in June, such as the Annapurna showcase, which is set for June 29th, so please be excited for that. And now also Sonic Central. This was just announced, and it will air tomorrow on June 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And this is actually set on Sonic's birthday. So, hey, that's a happy celebration there. Happy birthday to Sonic. The only thing, though, is that it's kind of hard to say what to expect here. All they're currently saying is to tune in for a sneak peek of some of our upcoming projects, partnerships, and events happening in 2023. Now, I'm sure at the very least we'll more than likely hear something about Sonic Superstars, but as to whether or not a new game will be revealed here, that is currently unknown. Nonetheless, though, if you are a big Sonic fan, maybe go ahead and tune in again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Oh, and here's a really exciting update. I mean, I literally was just talking about this in yesterday's video, but the thing about the Metal Gear Solid Collection that really stood out to me was the fact that they're titling it Volume 1. Clearly, they have more in store for the future with a possible Volume 2. That kind of brings up a big question, though, doesn't it? What about Metal Gear Solid 4? Metal Gear Solid 4 has been trapped on a PlayStation 3 for more than a decade. Is it finally that time to set it free? Well, check this out. So Konami themselves might have leaked their Volume 2 plans a little early on their official Metal Gear Solid website. This was posted up by Nitroid on Twitter, which said, the new Metal Gear Solid website added buttons to the timeline for the games in Master Collection Volume 1, but if you inspect the page, there are placeholder buttons for Metal Gear Solid 4, Peace Walker, and Metal Gear Solid 5 as well. Now, do keep in mind that this is not a confirmation per se, but hey, it is a pretty good indication that this might actually finally happen, and this is a huge, huge development. Now, I've said this time and time again. I love the Metal Gear Solid series. It holds a very special place in my heart, And I'm glad that these games are coming back. But Metal Gear Solid 4, for me, that's my own personal favorite. And it is such a shame that it's the one lone game in this franchise that's so difficult to play in 2023. Every other game has gotten ported to various platforms, but Metal Gear Solid 4, that's the one that absolutely needs to happen. And hey, this time it can even maybe reach an even bigger audience without that exclusivity attached to it. There was a story going around the other day that Sony never really had an exclusive deal to lock Metal Gear Solid 4 down, but rather they actually chose the PlayStation 3 because of its Blu-ray technology and that it could fit everything on disc, whereas the Xbox 360 just couldn't. And at the time, I guess Konami also just kind of favored Sony being a Japanese company. Here we are, though, in 2023, and it might finally be the time for Metal Gear Solid 4 to be enjoyed by everybody. And let me tell you, you're going to be in for a wild ride if it actually happens. Okay, so since we're talking about both PlayStation and Xbox here, we might as well just go ahead and get into the big story of the day, and that's about this FTC versus Microsoft case. The FTC is currently trying to get a preliminary injunction to stop Microsoft from acquiring Activision Blizzard. So over the next few days, there's going to be a lot of news that comes from this. There's just constant headlines that comes from this type of case because, you get a closer look behind the scenes and how these companies operate, and it can get ugly real quick. I mean, that's really the goal here, to make each other look as bad as they possibly can, and that includes digging up internal emails to prove their points. Now, the other day, there was this big story floating around about a 2019 email written by Xbox's Matt Booty where he reportedly alluded to putting Sony out of the market. This, however, was well before the Activision acquisition took place, though, so it doesn't really pertain to this case, but that is the type of stuff that can emerge in a high-profile court battle like this. They are going to make each other look bad, and that once again happened today, but this time with Sony, interestingly enough. See, one of the big focal points of this entire acquisition, as you all are probably well aware of by this point, has been Sony's aggressive approach to stop the buyout. Jim Ryan, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, has publicly talked about his disapproval. He's flown to different regulators across the world explaining why he thinks that they should block it. And even in this preliminary injunction, they are supporting the FTC's case. Sony has had a big involvement, and they continue to do so as they're angling to stop the acquisition. But according to a new email discovered, Sony might not actually believe some of the things that they're complaining about. I know. It's shocking, right? We should all be surprised. We should be just... This has just changed the fabrics of time, I guess. I don't know. It's not like I've been saying this the entire time that Sony's complaints come off as disingenuous. This is not shocking. It's been clear to most people with eyes. Publicly, Sony's complaining because this acquisition will make Microsoft more competitive in the game market. But behind the scenes, they're singing apparently quite a different tune, because here's an email that PlayStation boss Jim Ryan wrote. It reads, "It's not an Xbox exclusivity play at all. They're thinking bigger than that, and they have the cash to make moves like this. I've spent a fair bit of time with both Phil and Bobby Kotick over the past day. I'm pretty sure we will continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for many years to come." Now, what's really interesting here is that this email was sent out on January 20th of 2022, which is just 2 days after the announcement that Microsoft intends to buy Activision Blizzard. Now, you can say that this email was sent out to reassure his staff, and okay, that's fair enough. But this is a very different tone than what he's taken publicly, which is also, easily found by his very own staff. One way or the other, though, he is contradicting himself here, and that is a very bad look. Right now, it makes it look like all of those public complaints that we've seen from Jim Ryan for well over a year was, in fact, as I've been saying all along, disingenuous. And it's really not that hard to figure out why. Really, all you need to understand here is that Sony benefits from blocking this buyout. It allows them to keep the status quo. It allows them to keep their dominance, and it allows them to secure their preferred $70 price tags as opposed to Xbox putting Call of Duty into Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. This acquisition threatens those things for Sony, because here you have one of the most popular games in the world, and fans will have more options, possibly more affordable options, to play it. There is a possibility that fans will find Xbox Game Pass the more enticing option than paying $70. And that's something that Sony does not want to happen. They make a lot of money off of Call of Duty and all of the microtransactions they get from that series on a yearly basis. But as you can see from this email, even PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, after having a conversation with both Xbox and Activision, despite some of the things that they've said publicly over the last year, he came to the conclusion that Call of Duty will not be exclusive. This supports Microsoft's public statements and their written contracts that they want to keep Call of Duty multi-platform. I mean, I think that this was clear to most people paying attention, and it really only became more clear when Sony refused to accept a deal with Microsoft that promises to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for the next 10 years, including content parity. That should have probably been the end of this foreclosure argument that we have consistently seen, but here we are. And the FTC, they still want to bring this stuff up. In fact, in court today, one of the FTC's arguments was that, what if Microsoft made a cool Call of Duty skin exclusive to Xbox? How would that make PlayStation gamers feel? That is actually hilarious because, newsflash, Sony already does this with Call of Duty. They have been offering exclusive content for Call of Duty for quite some time. Maybe the FTC should, maybe look into that. I don't know, though. It is what it is, but now Microsoft has written proof that they want to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. They've publicly committed to it. They've signed deals with various other companies, and even PlayStation behind closed doors has admitted they believe Microsoft. This is not about exclusivity. So I ask you, what is the FTC arguing about? A big part of their case is centered around protecting the market leader, Sony, and they just kind of ousted themselves as being disingenuous. I mean, I think we kind of know what's happening here, but the FTC, it seems like they're just throwing anything and everything at the wall to see if something sticks, because it's almost as if they decided well before the evidence came in that they wanted to block this deal, because this is Lena Khan's FTC, and she does not like big tech mergers. I mean, we'll see what happens in the coming days, but right now, unless something surprising happens, it does sound like Microsoft is putting together a pretty solid case to stop this injunction. But right now, things are certainly getting quite spicy, and I'm sure this is really only just the beginning. Now, however, there was some bad news that hit Xbox as well, because they just announced that they're increasing the price of the Xbox Series X in various different countries. This does not include the United States, Japan, Chile, and Colombia, but in most other countries, starting this July, you should expect a price hike similar to what we saw last year with the PlayStation 5. Now, the Xbox Series S will remain the same price in all regions, it appears, but here's what they said to kind of explain the overall situation. We've held on our prices for consoles for many years and have adjusted the prices to reflect the competitive conditions in each market. Now, based on Phil Spencer's comments last year about price increases, I don't think that this necessarily comes off as a just come out of nowhere surprise. They did kind of warn us already that this could possibly happen, but I think a lot of us were hoping that it would stop at $70 games. I know I was hoping that it would stop there, but that's just not the case here. They will be increasing the prices for everything. We'll get into Xbox Game Pass here in just a second, but as for the Xbox Series X, though, you can actually see the new prices posted up here by Tom Warren. Great job by him. Again, though, the United States prices will remain the same, but then there's a 6.6% increase in the UK, 10% in Europe, and 8.3% in Canada. Some of those are actually pretty big increases. Definitely not what you want to see here. However, when it comes to Game Pass, the standard Game Pass subscription will raise from $10 to $11, and then Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will go from $15 to $17. So, an extra $1 or $2 a month, that's an incremental increase. This is something that you see with Netflix quite a bit, and it seems like Microsoft is taking a similar approach. A one-time increase, I think that would be fine, but if they continue to increase it every couple years, that's whenever people might get a little bit more frustrated. Interestingly enough, though, PC Game Pass will remain the same for, I guess, reasons. Hey, that's a good thing, though. But I think the surprising part about all of this isn't just necessarily the price increase in itself, but rather the timing of all of this. It was just a few days ago when Microsoft claimed that they won't increase the prices after the Activision Blizzard acquisition, which, I mean, I guess on one side technically is true. They're going to go ahead and do it before, but it's not really a great look when they're in court fighting for the Activision Blizzard acquisition. You would think that maybe they would have waited a few weeks, but I guess not. Now, I don't imagine this will damage their case just because, Sony did something similar last year, but not really a great look either. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, which upcoming 2023 first-party Nintendo game are you most looking forward to? And it looks like Super Mario RPG did come away as the winner here. Second place here was Mario Brothers Wonder. Third, Pikmin 4. And then here at the bottom, Detective Pikachu Returns. So, I mean, the clear winners here are Mario fans. So there you go, Mario fans. You all are living the life right now. What a great direct for you Mario fans out there. But I am in agreement here. Mario RPG is also my most anticipated game on this list. I've never fully played through this game, and I think that the remake looks absolutely amazing. I love the visual art style, and just kind of knowing it's a turn-based JRPG, it's going to stand the test of time. So this is not only my most anticipated 2023 Nintendo game, but it's now one of my most anticipated 2023 games, period. What a great time to be a Nintendo fan, though. This generation has really been something special. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.